you are part of a huge machine in the United States. You cannot bring about changes. You are engaged in routine work. When expatriates come back and they get responsible positions, they're able to bring about change. And I compliment Nisar Siddiqui Saab, who, without having had that long experience in the US, being here, he has brought about major changes. But when we come from abroad, and if we are given the freedom to implement some of the ideas and the thinking from those countries, it's a wonderful opportunity. Why wouldn't you do it? So I have come, I would say, for the joy it gives me in being able to bring about admittedly small changes, and I'd be happy to talk about some of the small changes that I've been able to do at Quaid-e-Azam University also. You know, I'll talk about the most trivial things which you perhaps even haven't given thought to. The fact that I kept getting applications from students for age relaxation, because there's a certain age beyond which you cannot apply for admission to an undergraduate or graduate program. And I said, what nonsense is this? Why should anyone be stopped in going for a degree because they have reached a certain age? It's not uncommon in the United States to hear of someone in his or her 80s getting an undergraduate degree. So that may sound trivial, but this is an example of something many people here may not even have thought of, never crossed their minds, but it is something I saw routinely abroad. There were other things too, and I hope it happens while I'm at Quaid-e-Azam University. We retire our faculty at the age of 60. And as some of us here will tell you, 60, you're just beginning your life. Or I did try, in fact, our syndicate did approve a plan to increase the retirement age to 65. Again, like other things, it's floundering in the HEC, which says that we must have the same rules for all universities, but again, simple little things. What we're trying to do in terms of research and scholarship, if the question comes up, I'll respond to that too. But the joy of coming back for myself and for other expatriates like myself, given the right opportunities, you can leave having put a brick in the huge edifice that needs to be built in this country. एक ईंट लगा के चले जाएं तो मैं समझता हूँ बहुत बड़ी contribution है.
Thank you very much, sir. Sir, you used to say that Sukkur IBA is a thought process. And now we are expecting that maybe on some day the daughter of Donald Trump will come here and study at Sukkur IBA. And people want to know about that the thought process. What is that thought process meaning? What we can get the idea from that, sir, please.
By saying thought process, I simply mean that we respond to the needs of the society. And the main theme of our mission and vision is to give equal opportunity to all the citizens of Pakistan and, of course, province of Sindh. Actually, let me, a article or book written by Philip Kotler says capitalism and democracy. He says that this capitalism is eating into the democracy because nowadays only the candidates who are billionaires are being supported by the billionaires can become the office holders. Without money, nothing can be done. So the same case is here in education. 20% of the population who are well-to-do, maybe rich or upper middle class, they have access to quality education. They can send their children to Karachi, to Lahore, to foreign countries for education of their children. Even during school, their children are sent to the grammar school, to the city school and beacon school, which are very costly. 80% of the population cannot access those schools. They are doomed to join, although their parents may want, but they cannot do it. Their children, they go to the government schools, and we know what is the predicament in government schools. Then in our boards of examinations, there is a lot of corruption and foul means, cheating, with the result that the students, 80% of the population and their children are compelled to join, are not able to join good quality institutes because they are poor square. One poverty is obvious, which is financial, which can be covered, addressed by giving them scholarships and other concessions. But they are also suffering from other poverty, which is academic poverty. Academic poverty doesn't mean that they are not talented. They are talented, but they have been deprived of quality education during their school age, during their intermediate. Therefore, they are barred. They cannot join good quality university. Although government may give them scholarships, people may give them scholarship, free ships, concessions, but even then they cannot join because of this poverty too. And this poverty too doesn't mean that they are not talented. They are talented, but they are deprived. So, Sukkur IBA is meant to provide a similar ground to all the students. So, education for all is the concept which we really are implementing. Instead of simply raising slogans, we really implement it. In Sukkur IBA, nobody will go back because of poverty, because of lack of money. But he has to work hard, he has to improve. That is essential. So, keeping that main theme of our mission in mind, we respond to the needs of the society. And purpose is to produce graduates who possess best of the quality. That is our main mission, and in order to achieve the goals of this mission, we are responding to the needs of the society, establishing those institutions, arranging those equipments, those laboratories, which will promote our purpose of quality education for all. That is in fact, what we mean by thought process.
Thank you very much, sir, for explaining thought process. Sir, I know you always come up with the innovative ideas, and we have experience of that. Now I just want to ask you, now you are the Vice Chancellor of one of the best and the #1 university of Pakistan, that what is in your mind, or what are the ideas do you have for the education and development of Pakistan, especially the universities?
I will say one size fits all is not something that applies to all universities. Every university has its own particular needs. What Sukkur IBA is doing is, I think, extremely valuable, extending itself to underprivileged students, providing education in an area where quality education has been lacking. But Quaid-e-Azam University has a completely different mission, and whatever little I can do will be based on that mission. Quaid-e-Azam University, as you know, was set up about 50 years ago as a research university. Its primary purpose for its faculty is to engage in research, and in the early days, in fact, for most of its existence, it has not had an undergraduate program. The last Vice Chancellor started undergraduate programs there about 3 years ago. But prior to that, we only had postgraduate programs, and an enormous amount of academic research comes out of Quaid-e-Azam University. So for the university, what I'm trying to do is improve the quality and quantity of research that comes out of the university. And there's much that is wrong with higher education in Pakistan today. I was talking to Sarwar Saab yesterday. He gave the example of someone who had published 10 articles in the same journal, and very often what happens is, I can give you even worse examples. We have 5 so-called centers of excellence at Quaid-e-Azam University. One of them, the NIHCR, the National Institute of Historical and Cultural Research. There is no teaching there. These people are supposed to be engaged in full-time research, but when I looked at the resumes, there were gaps of several years in the resumes of some of the researchers. They had not published a sentence in many years when that was their only duty. And then what little they did publish was being published in journals that were coming out of the institute itself. So the hallowed tradition of double-blind refereeing, which exists in the United States, where the faculty do not know those who review their papers, and the reviewers do not know who the authors of these articles are, that simply does not exist at this center at Quaid-e-Azam University. The editor sits next door, or even worse cases, the editor himself reviews his own paper and then publishes it. So that is just academically unacceptable. That's as bad as it gets. But when we go to higher levels, the HEC has its lists of recognized journals. Some of those journals are unacceptably low quality. At Quaid-e-Azam University, we have now banned Z category journals. Most of you here know what those are. We have 4 categories of journals, W, X, Y, and Z. Z categories have now been banned. The natural and biological sciences publish only in W category journals. Social sciences we're trying to pull up by having them publish in better quality journals. We now require that at least 25% of these articles be in acceptable international journals. That takes care of bias and favoritism in article publication. We have another what I consider inappropriate academic practices. You have several co-authors on a paper, maybe 5 or 6, and there are faculty who every time happen to be the 6th co-author. The other 5 are their friends. What their own contribution to the paper was is very difficult to determine. So we have now said, if you're coming up for promotion or for any other internal evaluation, a certain percentage of your papers, you must be a lead author on them, or otherwise be able to demonstrate what your contribution to the paper was. And we have a list of other things that we have now done. I do think the syndicate which is backing all of these proposals, but there is resistance from the faculty, who, when coming up from a promotion, will say, lift the bar higher, please. If you're going to make it based on existing rules, why would you want to make those rules more stringent if it prevents you from reaching that higher level? So we do have a lot of resistance in the same way that the four-year bachelor's program was strongly resisted, among others, by the governor's house. You, sir, Siddiqui Saab, probably remember the military secretary to the governor at that time, a retired brigadier. I'm trying to think of his name.
Zamin Akhtar.
Zamin Akhtar, who also became home minister in the interim government. His own son was studying at IBA, and he said it's too expensive to have a four-year bachelor's program. He came up with all kinds of excuses, and he talked to Mr. Sumro, the governor at that time. We had to fight with the governor to get done what now, thankfully, is an established thing in Pakistan. But I see the same thing at Quaid-e-Azam University. Anything which hurts your interest, you're not going to support. People do not look at the collective good, they look at their individual interest. And that's a tough battle to fight. But fortunately, we do have supporters in this mission also. And I think just as IBA Karachi led the rest of the country in the four-year bachelor's program, I hope Quaid-e-Azam University can bring about changes and the lifting of standards which other universities will also follow.
So, thank you very much, sir. And I hope you enjoy the love and passion for Pakistan by having this talk with the two great leaders of education in Pakistan. Now it is, I make the floor open for you people. You can ask the question, 3 to 4 questions, please. And be precise.
Assalamu alaikum. It's very nice talk. We enjoyed all. My question was from the both laureates that at this current level, what we require in the universities, it is the particular faculty exchange program that still we are lacking in the higher level institutions. I want to ask that what steps we required at the educational leadership or even in the universities that it is very difficult for our students to be reached in the higher level programs out. How we can offer different programs that one or the 2 or the 3 members for one semester they are coming in our institutions and they teach our students in our home here. So please, I want to know about your efforts related to these issues.
She is asking about the faculty exchange of the teachers if they are coming from abroad and then they are teaching over here. How we can make them more frequent.
Tayyib sahab aane ko taiyar hai? Faculty exchanges. I don't know what to say about this, but there are issues and there are problems in bringing faculty from abroad to Pakistan. One of which is, sadly, we do not get good publicity outside. My own family did not want me to come here because of all of the talk about terrorism and so forth. And you do know that in KP, 2 vice chancellors were kidnapped over the last few years. The US Embassy at this time advises its citizens not to even visit Pakistan. In that backdrop, to get faculty from abroad is difficult. Look at it from the other side also. Faculty to rise in the United States must engage in academic scholarship and research. And sometimes if you come for a relatively long period to Pakistan, it is academically suicidal. You obviously cannot engage in the kind of research and scholarship. It happened to me also. This is the 3rd time I have come to Pakistan for a job, and each time my own research suffered quite a bit. Fortunately, I gained a full professorship before my visits, and so I was not hurt as badly as someone who is younger. So to come here, you have to be reasonable and practical. For someone like Usman Saab who sits here, why would he come here for a relatively lengthy period? One, every university will not grant you leave, and if they do, if they don't, it may be very difficult to get an academic position back in Canada or the United States. There are other things too. Your children are getting an excellent education abroad, free of cost, and you know good education is expensive here. In fact, I've been amused at some things, and for our foreign guests, at Karachi Grammar School, one of our leading schools, the parents are interviewed before the child is granted admission. The parents have to be good enough for the child to be educated, must be from the socially higher strata to be accepted. None of that abroad. But what I'm saying, I'll go even beyond that though. Have faith in some of what we do. I think we have excellent teachers here. We don't necessarily need professors from the United States to come here and teach. They can help with research though. I think that's an area where that kind of collaboration would be useful. I was not happy with the fact that the US State Department set up a partnership program, and Quaid-e-Azam University, our partner was Ball State University in Indiana. And that is a relatively low-level teaching institution. For faculty to come from Ball State and teach a semester at the US is not the same as what LUMS did. It was in partnership with George Washington University, which is a research school. And they had researchers visiting them. So we have to be focused on what we're trying to get. Simply because someone is from the United States is not necessarily a benefit to us here. We have the talent here, we have the expertise here. If you'll allow me for a moment, where I think that we're going wrong, and I'll mention two areas.